Hello everyone, this is Bodhi, and welcome back to another episode on the Cornerstone SMP. Starting things off today at our Star Wars base area, where in the last episode we built up 2 sugarcane farms inside of these AT-AT Imperial Walkers. And in the last episode, we also finished up our build for Hix's building competition by putting together an awesome interior for this medieval inn that I am super happy with. So now we're all just waiting on May 1st when the results of the contest will be decided. And by the way, please be sure to hit that like button if you do enjoy today's episode, and consider subscribing to the channel if you're new and you're enjoying the Cornerstone content. So with all that stuff done, I decided that instead of doing the logical thing and trying to get our Star Wars base more complete, I want to start a new project. I mean, everyone plays Minecraft differently, but I honestly feel like having multiple projects and being able to switch between different things to work on can be a very fun way of doing things. It's all about what makes you happy, and I don't think that you need to completely finish a massive project before starting another one. It happens when it happens, and forcing yourself to get something done in Minecraft can be a serious recipe for burnout. Anyways, I definitely didn't need that much justification for starting something new, but I figured it could give you guys some good insight into how I play Minecraft. So we will obviously be doing more work on our Star Wars base eventually, but right now I'm at the Cornerstone SMP spawn. And this place probably isn't too familiar because there really isn't anything going on in this area, and I basically never come here in my videos. But what we're going to get started on today will change that. It is a project that we've talked about doing on Cornerstone for some time, and that is a town built around the world spawn. I was definitely in the mood for some fun and relaxing building, which is why I decided I wanted to get this project started. And this is by no means going to be a solo project, so I'm going to see which of the other server members want to get involved, and we might be able to get some collaborations going. But first things first, I've got to get this area prepared by figuring out which blocks are the ones that you can actually spawn on. Okay, so I've been doing some investigation to find out where a player can actually spawn, and on this block right here, we have the world spawn point. But by default, there is a 10-block radius in a square shape where the player can actually spawn in. However, we can control it a little bit more because the game will always prioritize grass blocks. So what I did is I put carpets over this entire radius in the square shape, and now if we die, we will always spawn on this grass block right here. So now that we know how the spawning works, I got rid of most of these carpets, and I'm now going to meet up with Alex and maybe some of the other server members to start planning out this project. Okay, so I didn't exactly plan out this area, but I did do a live stream where I worked on some enhancements and some terraforming. And as you can see behind me, I built up this custom cliff face with a waterfall that leads into a river that flows throughout this area and eventually leads into this natural river right here. So I think this is a very cool way to add some life into the future village that we're going to be building up here. I also wanted to get a custom tree in right here at the center of spawn, but me and Alex figured that the best person for this job would be Lemon Slice, and he said he'd help us out, so he'll probably get on that in the next few days. But in the meantime, me and Alex are going to start building up this village. So without further ado, let's go ahead and kick things off into time-lapse mode, and we are going to get started on the first structure. So me and Alex put together a couple of structures to get this village started here, and with any great project comes a massive shulker box monster. But I really like what we've got going on here. We tried sort of a new build style that neither of us were really familiar with. It's sort of a Mediterranean-inspired style, so in the time-lapse you could clearly see there was a lot of experimenting going on because we both weren't sure how exactly to approach this, but I think we made a pretty good start. The basis of these structures is very simple, which is why what really brings it together is the detailing, like the windows, the greenery, and the decorations, which we still need to add a lot more of. Another reason we have to incorporate a lot of detailing is because while I am used to adding a lot of texture variation with more medieval style builds, with this whitewashed block palette that we're using, especially the quartz, it's not really easy to mix in other blocks with it. There isn't a lot of things that matches this smooth quartz texture. So the walls are fairly plain on their own, which isn't necessarily a bad thing as long as we break it up with things like windows and bushes. I also decided it was time to add some vegetation to the river, so we spruced this place up with like some sugarcane and some flowers, and I think it looks a lot more alive now. But it has been super fun to work out this new build style that we're trying, and I think I'm going to work with Alex now to try and add some more decoration to this area, as well as get some nice interiors on these structures here. But before we do that, let's go ahead and take a quick break because there are a couple of things that I've been meaning to do in the shopping district. The first of which is voting on our favorite build in the building competition. Now, obviously, Hicks's vote will matter the most, but it looks like each of us can also put in our own vote about which one we think deserves to win. It's gonna be super difficult to decide because all of these builds are amazing, so I'm going to take some time off camera looking through the ins and outs of all these builds before I come to my decision. Okay, so it is incredibly hard to settle on just one of these amazing builds, but I think that I'm going to have to choose this one right here by Nella's. It was super difficult to decide between her build and Lemon's build, which is probably my second favorite, because the two are just so different in size that it was a little bit weird to compare them. But what I really liked about hers is that even though it's quite a bit smaller, the detailing on the exterior is just as good, and she also made amazing use of the interior so that it honestly doesn't even feel that small. There's just so much fit in here, and it looks absolutely incredible. I've also got to give a shout out to this build by Alex because honestly, if I was deciding purely based on the interior, I might have to give it to him. But anyways, even though I really wish I could have given it to multiple people, Nella's build is going to be my final decision, and it definitely deserves the vote. But I also came to the shopping district because Hicks has set up these cool beacon displays that include the faces of the members of Cornerstone, and I have yet to put mine in. I do kind of wish I could have taken this spot, which is facing directly towards my two shops, but that's okay, Jack beat me to it, so it's fine. And I'm not really going to take this spot because it's facing directly into the back of another shop, so I think that we'll try to take a spot with that beacon over there. So I got my face in over here, and it's definitely not 100% accurate to the skin, partially because there's just not really blocks that match this color exactly. But either way, I think I did a good enough job, and you can definitely tell that it's me. Okay, so back at the start of our village now, and the shulker monster continues to grow out of control, and I don't think that it's going to stop anytime soon. But we've gotten some more work done on these buildings, and I think it's about time to finish up today's episode, so let's go ahead and take a look. So we've got the start of the pathway in the village here, but the main additions that we made were the interiors. And in this smaller structure here, Alex did the interior, and it looks awesome. It's purely decorational, but he was able to fit a bunch of stuff in here for how small this space is, and it looks great. And it's not often that I want to do interiors, but I was pretty excited about doing the one inside of this because it is going to serve a pretty cool purpose. Basically, it is going to help anyone that has died be able to recover their lost items more easily. I don't have a book for this lectern yet, but it will basically explain that if you have died, you can go ahead and borrow a set of armor and tools from these armor stands and barrels to help you retrieve your items and then return it when you're done. And then back in this little nook here, you can get stuff like food, ender pearls, and probably potions to help you. And by the way, I absolutely love this floor design with the crisscrossing quartz pillars. It just looks so smooth and clean, and I definitely want to use it in more of this village. But be sure to let me know what you think of this interior. Anyways, the barrels and armor stands are obviously not stocked yet, but I figured that would be better to do off camera, or maybe a perfect thing to do on stream before the next episode. But yeah, that's about it for these buildings. We decided to leave the backsides pretty plain because there might end up being more structures directly behind them or in this area, so it didn't really make sense to detail out these walls yet. But with all that out of the way, I do hope you guys enjoyed today's episode, and please be sure to let me know what you think about these new builds and this new build style. Me and Alex had a ton of fun with it, and we will definitely be working more on this project soon. Please be sure to hit that like button if you did enjoy, and consider subscribing to the channel if you're new. But without further ado, this has been Bodhi, and I will see you all in the next one.